Yeah, so we've been wanting to do this for a very long time right here on this channel, GH Group Free TV. This is the CineVersations podcast. And today I have a very special guest on the show. He's a writer, director, producer, and he's also actually a retired airman. Yes. But he's a filmmaker, and today we are going to have an interesting conversation about some of the stuff he's been up to, and also he has some very interesting thoughts about the African Cinema Summit, and we are going to go into a conversation about that. So without much ado, let me just welcome my guest, Sayibu. My guy, what's up?
Hey, what's good, bro?
I'm good. You're welcome to the CineVersations podcast.
Thank you. You've been wanting to do this for a while, so I'm happy to be your first guest.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you on. Barring any unfortunate incidents, I think we should be able to be on a roll. I'm sure you're going to be a repeat guest, because I'm going to have you on here a lot more times. But
Of course.
yeah, where do we even start this conversation from? So this podcast basically is going to be about film and film business. I'm going to be talking to all kinds of people about film and film business, and you are my first guest. Let's start with ATF, Adam the First.
Right.
For those who don't know, Adam the First is Sayibu's film. It's a science fiction film. Let me just leave him to tell us what's the status on the project right now.
Oh, it's done. We've seeded it to festivals right now. Of course, it's been like a sort of a long process, and a lot of people have have kind of waited and given up on it at some point because we've taken so long to finish it. But thankfully, we finished it several months ago. We've just been quiet about finishing it because we're trying to set up its release structure and all that type of stuff.
Right.
Get our marketing strategy and all that stuff. But it's finished now, and it's in the festival. It's in the runnings for different festivals. So we kind of want to get a few laurels on it before we drop it.
Wow. That's awesome. And besides that, I noticed that recently you've been posting a project, Get the Couple, right? Yeah, you've been posting that on your YouTube channel. What's that also about?
Yeah, that's basically we realized that when I dropped my first film, it was streamed around, but I think that in Ghana it was theater that people were able to see it, and after that no one was ever able to sort of see it anyway. And as we started getting things back together, like getting the studio back in shape to get back out there with ATF, we kind of wanted to remind people a little bit of sort of where the journey began and stuff like that. So we decided to go the TV route. So we edited it down to a mini-series, about 20 minutes per episode, and we did add a bunch of things that did not make it into the original cut of the film. Okay. So it actually is a very kind of different experience. For if you've seen the film, you're still gonna be intrigued by it. I don't know if that's true because you have seen the film.
Yeah.
So you can tell me that later on. But yeah. So
I could tell you that right now. I could tell you that right now because I mean, the way you rolled this out, you didn't kind of like tease that it was a repackaging of the film. So I was expecting I was thinking you had just shot a new project and you're releasing it. So I went into it with like no expectations, honestly, because I didn't know what it was going to be about. And then I think a few minutes into the first episode, I realized that this has to be the Northern King that has been repackaged as Get the Couple. And then I was like, I've already seen Northern King, so let me just get over, let me just go and do what I have to do. But I noticed I was getting sucked in, and I was starting to try to recollect what the Northern King really was about, and I noticed that it looked fresh. Actually, it looked like something that you except that the cast they don't look like they look now. Yeah, so it could easily pass for something that you just shot. So yeah. So what's the plan really for that? What was the
Yeah, I'm happy.
pan?
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy that it came through for that because when we did that, we also expanded our deal with Amazon.
Okay.
So we realized that we are going to be able to also drop those up there like straight to market instead of like now they trust us enough to put us directly to market instead of
Okay.
we used to be on stream.
Right.
We used to be on stream only, so like we just when you go now we're for sale. Like when people watch it, it's they buy it to watch it. And the first episode is actually live right now for the US audience, so on Amazon, and it's gonna be rolling out weekly just the same way as we've been doing for Ghana on YouTube.
Right. Awesome. Congratulations on that. I'm hoping that it opens new doors for you. Whilst we wait for Adam the First to be officially released. Right. Did I lose you?
One last thing, I guess no one knows this. This is gonna,
Yeah.
yeah, and we're gonna be we're calling that Treats and Terrace, and it's gonna be
Okay.
rolling out a week after we settle with Get the Couple. We'll start getting into Treats and Terrace.
Treats and Terrors. Okay. So we will be on the look out for that as well. I'm going to drop a link to the YouTube channel in the comment section or in the description section of this video as well, so people could go check it out on his YouTube channel. But let's just get into the substantive issue. I know that the Africa Cinema Summit happened a couple of, I think we are about maybe 2 or 3 weeks removed, about 3 weeks removed from the African Cinema Summit. A lot has been said about it, a lot of expectations, a lot of conversations. First of all, let me know what would you say is your thoughts on the idea of the African Cinema Summit?
Honestly, I think that the idea is amazing.
Okay.
As a concept, right? It is a fantastic idea because even I think I attended the first one last year as well.
Yeah.
And based on like what it is, the concept of what it's supposed to grow into is amazing because it's gonna rival things like. But actually, it's kind of something you actually had started already. It's kind of, it's sort of the same thing as the Ghana MovieCon you had already started.
Yeah, GH MovieCon.
So it's the same type of impact. Yeah, it's the same kind of impact of what it's going to do, which would be to unite the African filmmakers and, sort of open up the African film commerce, around, bring us together so we can connect, network, work together, sell things around each other's countries. So it's great, I think, as a concept.
Right.
So that's the answer to that. What do I think about it?
All right, but you said you were at last year's edition, but this year, were you at this year's edition?
I was for 15 minutes, so I don't want to say that I was. It was exactly 15 minutes. You can
15 minutes on
Joaco, Beck, and everybody who saw me. I was only there for 15 minutes, so I don't want to say I was there.
So on which day? On which day exactly?
That was on day. I believe that was day 3.
Day 3. Okay, because I was on the panel.
2 days after, Idris went.
Yeah, so I was on the panel for day 2. So, I wasn't around on day 3. So, right, interesting. So, I mean, I do agree with you when you say that it's sort of like. Should I say mirrors exactly what GH MovieCon is supposed to be? And I mean, I say this all the time. I mean, that's what GH MovieCon is supposed to be. Unfortunately, I don't have the muscle to pull it off yet, but I hope we get there eventually. So I think removed again 3 weeks or 2 weeks removed from the African Cinema Summit, there's a lot of conversation around it in terms of like it being its significance and its the expectations people generally have concerning the summit. I've seen several posts online. What would you say, in your opinion, what would you say is missing from the summit? What would you say? Because you believe it's something that's good, but I'm sure you also have your reservations towards it. What would you say is missing from the summit?
Yeah, to be honest, the African Cinema Summit is missing the cinema. You feel me?
Interesting.
For me, if that's what we are selling and we are saying that we're going to bring all these things together, regardless of whatever qualms we may have with each other personally, among each other. I think that whenever it comes to things like that, we can put these things aside and put ours, like, so that we can sort of bolster the entire thing. Because a
Right.
rising tide raises all ships. It doesn't discriminate when it's rising, it's lifting all the ships, right? So it helps all of us. But I think that what happens is that few things that made me a bit upset about the whole process. Because when I got that for my 15 minutes, within those 15 minutes, I actually had spoken to somebody who had mentioned to me that they were doing like these pitches, they had organized these things, stuff, and we were wondering. So I was asking Bex, I said, hey, did they send you an email? Because he still subscribed to all that stuff. So he gets all those things. So, and there's been things they've done, by the way. Let me give them props real quick before I continue. They did this pitch series, something in Nigeria recently, where they had a few filmmakers go and stuff. But again, there's still that problem I'm about to speak about, which is, why is this now a thing that they're doing secretly? Right? Why is this now a thing that we're picking and choosing who we're giving these opportunities to? Right? So we only heard about the Nigeria thing because there happens to be someone there who felt like what we have might be good for that program, right? They made us aware of it. But I don't think that a lot of other filmmakers even know about what I'm talking about.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when we do these type of things, and we also say that we are trying to bolster the film industry, it's a question of, are we trying to bolster the film industry, or are we trying to bolster our friends within the film industry?
Yeah.
You see, so that is the question. Now, again, great ideas, but follow through. Last year when we went, I remember they had people from, I believe they had people from IMAX and all these things.
Yeah.
That came through and stuff like that. But again, it's about how you control, like, if you have to understand the way Hollywood works to be able to understand how something can be beneficial to you.
Okay.
You get me? IMAX has to see that you understand what IMAX is.
Okay.
And how they can benefit from you. What do you have for IMAX? That's going to make IMAX invest in putting an IMAX theater in your country. What filmmakers are in your country that can team up with IMAX for the type of films that play on IMAX?
Okay.
This is what should have happened. That's what you do. You connect them. You come like, hey, whoever filmmaker you're thinking about, whatever it is, at that point, it doesn't matter whether it's me or whoever. So long as it's a good Ghanaian filmmaker that we trust, that you feel, hey, this person is this, yes, make it happen. Like, let the conversations happen. You don't just bring people. Like, the thing that I notice keeps happening is they bring the things, but it's almost like they bring you bottled water with the, what's it called, with glue on the cap.
Right.
So yeah, you can hold it.
Right. Okay. So I guess this reservation or criticism is, mainly targeted at the organizers of the African Cinema Summit, in this case, the National Film Authority of Ghana, who I think partnered with Silverbird and then Film House, and I think this year they partnered with the Now Group or something, distribution company or something to pull the event together. And then you feel like, so here's the thing. I also didn't know about this deal room till I think I found out about the deal room, I think on day one, right? And in my mind, the idea of the deal room, again, like a very brilliant idea. But then I felt, okay, so who gets to go into that deal room? That's what I kept asking myself. And then I noticed that on day two, when I was having my panel, I noticed that certain people were getting called to go have like meetings. And I asked myself, okay, so like, what's the criteria for selection, or why are those people getting called? I don't have an issue. Actually, the people I saw getting called are people that I believe have got some good stuff, right? So in my mind, I was like, okay, so how are these people like? I mean, what was the conversation like? What was the process like? And I do agree with you on that because I felt and I've spoken about this before that the NFA needs to be a bit transparent in some of their dealings, right? And I don't know about the nepotism or you saying like being a family and friends thing the way you put it, but I can understand how it looks like from the outside if someone, I mean, we see certain things happening and we don't know how they happen and why certain people are getting involved in those things. So yeah, I do agree with you. So let's go on from let's take a step back. I can understand that a lot of this should I say reservations that you have with the African Cinema Summit stems from one other film, let's say film, whatever that the NFA did, which is the presidential pitch series. It wasn't the presidential pitch series when it started, first of all. It was the pitch series.
Right.
I think it was the National Film Authority pitch series, which you were a part of, which you entered your film, Adam the First. And for me, sitting back, I've heard so many people speak about the pitch series and some of the things that went wrong. Can you tell me, as someone that put their film on the line, essentially, let me put it that way, because I know a lot was hanging on that film. What would you say?
Yeah.
What would you say was wrong with the presidential pitch series, and what could have been done better?
See, once again, brilliant idea.
Okay.
Like, was amazing, inspiring idea as well. Because for once, we had this like, there was this excitement that I still haven't seen replicated since, where there were a lot of filmmakers ready to go. Like, the motivation was there now. Like, people were like, yes, let's go. This is happening. Like, I was hearing ideas that like, A Dream to Die For. I'm like, yo, that's something. David Masterwood, you know?
Yeah.
And then I heard We Too, the concept. I'm like, yo, these, like, not even mine. Like, the other people's movies were just so exciting, right? So again, great idea. And I also believe that they did do what they could to make these deals happen. However, they failed in communicating with us.
Okay.
You get me? They failed in speaking to us and letting us know, because one of the actual investors and the people who was working with them called me and gave me the layout of how things had gone wrong. And I'm not going to get into that.
Okay.
Probably, like, that's those.
I mean, you could tell me that person's name later. I'll try and get him on the pod to speak about this if he's willing to talk about it.
I'll let you know. And then if they want to get into that, that's their story to tell. But they called me and they basically made me understand in so many words that, hey man, the investors are not getting what they need from the government, not from the NFA.
Okay.
I want to be clear about that.
Okay.
From the government, which is obviously bigger than the NFA.
Okay.
Right? And because of that, this person was advising me to, hey man, you should go and do this on your own, man. Like, figure it out.
Okay.
And they offered to also be an investor. So they are one of my, they helped me tremendously to get this done. But they gave me that push, like, this is not happening, man. If you stay over here, it's a merry-go-round, and they don't want to tell you guys, because, from the way that it seemed, once again, this is a very nuanced thing, because whenever I say things, people think I think that the secretary is like a bad person, which is not the case at all. Like, she's actually one of the best human beings I know. Right. Very soulful, very intelligent, all those things. The thing I disagree with her about is, again, communication, in how you communicated things to us.
Okay.
That was my breaking point with the whole thing. Was like, I get where you are coming from, because some things are above you. There's nothing you can do about certain things because she can bring the memorandums and everything to the Ministry of Tourism, but if they don't push it forward, there's nothing she can do about that. That is a real thing, when you work with the government. So we get all those things, but the thing is the communication, because we could have been behind you if there was a lot of transparency, so that like eventually somehow Master ended up with 80,000. Maybe if we understood
80,000. I think
how
it was
these things
euros
were
or
happening.
pounds or something.
Yeah, 80,000 euros. But I think that came from co-production and all these different avenues that they ended up coming up with, later
Right.
on, which is amazing, by the way. But yeah, like they just couldn't communicate well with us. They were not straight up with when things started going down. They didn't come to you directly and let you know, hey, these things are falling apart. So maybe start figuring things out for yourself.
Right.
We had to sort of just come to that realization. And there were still people in like waiting, sort of just in limbo. And some projects just basically fizzled because the dream died. So in a way, like you galvanized these people, but in the way that you moved, you ended up being one of the biggest things that deflated the excitement. The same excitement that you had created, you deflated with your actions. You get me? So that's kind of what happened. But I still think that if it's managed well, these things are going to be extremely beneficial to us and to the industry. But if it's not managed well, we have seen what happens when it's not managed well. That's sort of my take on it.
Right. I do agree with you on the communication bit, because I mean, in my last hot take that I put out, I was speaking about how the NFA needs to be a bit upfront with their communication and trying to get people to understand like some of the
Yeah.
things that they are trying to do, because if they don't get people on the same page, I know how it does affect the the output of what they are trying to achieve. You understand? So I can see that. But let me ask you this. So in that entire time that you were part of the pitch series, was there really, would you say you gained something out of the pitch series?
Besides connecting with other filmmakers, and I did learn a few things, like a lot. Personally, I gained
Okay.
more personally than professionally.
Right.
Yeah. So that's yeah. I got a lot from it. Like a lot of positives came out of it.
Okay.
I had like I developed a great friendship, which sadly doesn't is no longer a thing anymore. But I had a very good friendship with Miss Juliet, which was very fulfilling for me. Like she was a very great friend and all that stuff. But I
Right.
guess once I started seeing, once I started being open about my displeasure, I guess publicly or something like that, that went away. But yes, it was very beneficial and very uh, how do you put it, fulfilling and enriching,
Fulfilling.
but not professional
So
because
right.
yeah.
So in all of this, you'd say that for the pitch series to be like done better, you'd ask that, or you'd entreat that communication is part, like properly done, and then what else? What other recommendation would you add to the whole idea of the pitch series? Then we'll come back to the African Cinema Summit.
Right. I think that, with the pitch series, they could have also involved, they could have sold the idea better to the people who have money. Because, whenever we went personally to go and sell it to other people who ended up investing in it, well, we got the money. So, so, it's about, I feel like it was about how they were selling it to people who did not know anything about film at all. You get me? Who they're investors in other sectors and stuff, but they want to see, like, they want you to show them certain things, like, and these are things that if you communicated with some of us who have ended up going out to do it, we could do little master classes, we could do these seminars or whatever, and bring other people into, hey, actually when you're bringing in non-film people, there are certain specific things they're interested in knowing, like certain things they want to know offhand before they make a certain commitment. You get me? So these little things, bringing people together and coming up with solutions, even when things are failing, still being open about the fact that things are not going right and what can we do about it. You see, so if you want us to start jumping in, trying to get investors, talk to us. Hey, okay, team, we wanted to get you guys external investors and stuff, but this is what's happening. So if any of you know someone who's interested in investing and stuff like that, come bring them in. We, the NFA, will give you the confidence. We'll give them the confidence, and sort of basically make you more credible.
Okay.
For example, if there's like rebates, if
Okay.
in the case of things like rebates and stuff like that, then that encourages people. But if it's all talk all the time, I don't think that
Right.
things like the pitch series would succeed.
So should in case, because I know the NFA is planning on doing the pitch series again. Should in case they reopen the pitch series, are you going to be a part of it? Are you going to want to be a part of it?
Absolutely, it's an idea I'm very passionate about. I think when Mr. Santi brought it up to me, when she took over, when she first got on, you remember she met filmmakers
Yeah.
at Vidai. Like we all went and met her, had a conversation with her. She sort of tried to see where everybody's head was at. Yeah, she mentioned once she brought that up, because she mentioned at that time that these were things she was thinking about, and I was extremely passionate about that. I was like, yeah, this is something we need. Like, like this is gonna be great for the industry. Like, this is amazing. So if you remember, all the way up to the beginning of the page and everything, if you remember quite, I was one of the people who was extremely positively vocal about the NFA.
Yeah.
In fact, there were a lot of people who used to think like they pay me or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just because because I was really just passionate and excited about all these things that we're bringing, that I felt were just sort of game changers to the industry. So my passion, I guess, is mimicked in my pain, because I'm just as passionate at calling out the things I don't like as I was when I was, happy about it. Same thing if new information comes and things are exciting again, you're gonna see me, I'll make you be tired of me mentioning them. It's just the way I am. I get passionate about everything.
I just don't get this Ghanaian thing where, I mean, if you're trying to, for me, like, is people are already saying I'm a sympathizer of the NFA, as if the NFA is as if the NFA is like some terrorist group, and I am like sympathizing with them in their ideals, and
Right.
I mean, it's weird. But back to the African Cinema Summit, right? And I'm just going to pick your thoughts again on something that I saw happening at the Cinema Summit, and essentially like find out what you think about it. One thing they did also this year was they had the Legacy Awards, where they sort of like awarded some key industry people. Let me know your thoughts on that, and what you thought about some of the award winners that you've seen so far. Have you have you seen the winners, by the way?
I know of one that I'm very excited. I was happy to hear about,
Okay.
which is my one of my inspirations, Kwawansan, the legendary Kwawansan. I know he was honored over there, and I think that that's extremely well deserved. Like, he's one of those ones, man, and he's a legend. That was great. What I did notice, which was interesting to me, even this is something that sort of happened, but so began to make sense at the at the at the cinema summit.
Shout out to
You
GH
know,
Movie Con. You keep going.
I know, right? Yeah. I keep mentioning that because that's what's on the tip of my tongue. So at the summit, I should say, before that, about 4 weeks or something before the summit, Miss Juliet had posted these pictures, and it's funny that I don't follow these things, so someone DM'd me and sent me the link to it, like, yo, what is going on here? If a filmmaker I respect a lot, and I looked at it and I was like, what are you talking about? And then I checked it out, and I'm like, oh, I see what you're saying. And then I saw Kobe Rana talking about it, like, yo, this thing happening in these photos that we've not seen you do this with filmmakers from here. Now,
Okay, so
nothing wrong.
wait a minute. What was Kobe Rana talking about? Because I haven't seen that.
Yeah, he had seen the pic. Miss Juliet had posted pictures of her being on Kun. I don't want to. I don't.
Yeah, yeah,
Kunle
yeah, yeah,
Akindele.
yeah,
Is that
yeah.
the name?
Yeah, Kunle
Okay. She was
Afolemian's set. Yeah.
okay. They were
Yeah.
on the set. Yeah. So and all those things and kind of pushing it and stuff. And they were just wondering like, when have you ever done this for like any Ghanaian movie? Like,
Okay.
you didn't even post when you didn't say anything about David's A Dream to Die For. Like you
But
didn't
has
even
he
talk
has
about it
David
much,
shot it?
but he's in pre-production right now.
Okay.
But I'm talking
Cool.
about. I mean, would have been nice if y'all had a little bit of a photo up,
Yeah.
right? Hey, we just signed. This is beautiful. It's happening. These things. The same way you knew that taking those pictures in the set is gonna cause conversation.
Yeah.
It's those type of things. So when you bring it forward to the ACS,
Yeah. ACS. Yeah.
yeah, when you bring it forward to that, then you see that there's we have a person who sort of was overlooked a bit, and he is sort of one of the in Ghana, at least from Ghanaian-born filmmakers. He's right now, when we're gonna go with all the metrics, he's the most successful out of all of us.
Yeah.
Right, which is Blitz Bazaule.
Yeah.
You go from Burial, and then you do Color Purple, and now he's doing Yasuke.
Yeah.
Never happens, never in history. These are historical things for Ghanaian filmmakers, for filmmakers born in Ghana, right? And I think that he could have also been, if we're awarding sort of his peers in other countries, which is great because we're trying to bring everybody together, which I agree with. I love that. But, we should acknowledge those ones. One of the things that pushes conversation is always acknowledging the brightest stars within your constellation. Right? That brings attention to everybody else. So when we do this, like the legendary Croissant is like infallible. So we put when we think about him, we're thinking about the stuff that he did before. Of course, if I heard that he was doing something new, I'd be very excited because that's just, I know it's gonna be amazing, right?
Yeah.
But we have a person who is doing it now. Also.
So basically what you're trying to say is like Blitz should have been awarded to. Right?
Yeah, just to as an acknowledgement, or have a different one that's sort of shining a light on, okay, these are the legacies and these are the rising ones.
Well, I get you.
So you put the spotlight on both. You get me?
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I see what you mean there. But I'm also thinking now in my mind, I'm like, okay, so what happens next year? Are they going to have another legacy awards? Are they going to stick to the same? Because I noticed they had certain like criteria that or should I say categories that they awarded, right? Are they still going to stick with those categories for the next year? And is it going to open up to other parts of Africa? Because at top of my head, I think it's only Ghana and Nigeria filmmakers that were, or industry people that were awarded. Yeah, are they going to open it up to the rest of the world? I'm looking forward to seeing how that works. Like the rest of Africa, I'm looking forward to seeing how that works and who they are able to get as part of it. I'm really looking forward to that. But I mean, I think much has been said between. Go on.
Yeah, I hope that they get to open it up, and because one of the interesting things about doing this is sometimes all you have to do is invite a person and let them know you have, you're honoring them and they'll show up. You get me?
That's true.
So I hope that at least they send invitations to people, across the continent.
That's
people,
true.
Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, try to get other people, even if not to award them or whatever, invite certain players from these countries to attend.
I mean, for me, that's one of the things that's one of the reasons or the things that appeals to me about this whole African Cinema Summit idea. The fact that it's going to get to a point, if this thing is done well and done right, the rest of Africa would have a reason to come to Ghana, let's say every year, for that summit.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
one thing that to me,
It is a culture
yeah,
creating event.
because if you think about it, like all most of the African countries that are known for filmmaking have like either a film festival or a film event that draws people in. Like FESPACO that happens in FESPACO is like every 2 years. Yes, I haven't been, but it's like a rite of passage for almost every filmmaker, right? And
Yeah. It's
I
one of the
mean,
ones we are hoping to get in.
yeah, I was in Durban a few months ago, and the turnout, like the people that were, I was so blown away. And there are people that go every year for the last 5 or 6 years because they know the business that comes out of being there, and to a point where some countries have kind of like figured the whole system out, and they bring in their filmmakers, like they are very like talented and potential, like filmmakers with potential, and they lobby for them. The country sends a delegation of filmmakers.
You get the energy.
Yes, they lobby, and then so I'm kind of like hoping that, well, maybe a part of me is kind of like hoping they drop the ball, and then GH Moviecon picks up, and then becomes that event that really does that. But yeah, I think people should start thinking about it that way, particularly because when these gatherings happen, it exposes us to the possibilities of collaboration and stuff like that. And the business, we are getting left out of the business. That's how I feel about it. Because if
and you know the interesting, when I went there, I saw that they had these vendors over there from like these I think camera companies.
Yeah, bro.
You know, different companies. Beautiful, but there was no connection.
Bro,
There was no synergy. They were just there.
That is the should I say blueprint for GH MovieCon, bro, because that's what we were going to do with GH MovieCon. We were going to have like exhibitions. We were going to get, I'm not going to mention some of the companies that we've reached out to that we couldn't get them in yet, but that's the idea essentially. But I get what you mean in terms of like the synergy and maybe at the point you went in, because when I went there on the second day, I could see most of the exhibitions stands. I could see them really busy because people were going there and making inquiries. Like people were going there to find out what it would cost to set up a home cinema, or home theater, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And one of the exhibitors that I was very happy to see is Cinema 57, who is a Ghanaian Ghanaian company that does like screenings, localized screenings, outdoor screenings, and
outdoor screenings.
Yeah, and people really, I saw them engaging a lot of people, and I could see some filmmakers reach out to them and be like, "Oh, so what would it take for us to, like, for you to screen our films, and where can you screen our films?" And I could see that could be potential business that would, like, if they are able to come to some form of, whatever, it could be potential business for them. So I do see that part. But let's try and wrap this up. Going into next year, or going into the next African Cinema Summit, what would you say are some of the things you would be expecting? And I say this expecting because I want you to think about the just ended event, some of the conversations that have come out of the event, and what you could be expecting for next year's African Cinema Summit.
Right. I know that Idris had said that he was going to be coming into. Idris Elba had pledged that he was going to be moving to several African countries.
Yeah.
We can come back to that in a second, because I know that caused a big hubbub because of the way you see.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about that. Yeah.
But,
I saw you had an interesting post about it, but let's finish it. Yeah. Yeah, we can.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that at the very least, some of the things that he said, at least one of them could happen. And if he's from what he's saying, it seems like he himself is going to be quite involved, probably as a producer. So and maybe involve himself as an actor. You know, who knows? He might throw his way to a good story in that way as well. So I'm hoping that something comes out of that within the
Okay.
next year, which at the very least can be announced. You know, like it doesn't have to actually have moved. It could just be within the next year he's having conversations, and then next year is when he finally settles with a filmmaker, and then they decide, okay, we've got the right story, we've got this, and then we get to make it exciting. We bring it to ACS and say, hey, you know, we're going to make this film. You know, I've spoken to this filmmaker. He's going to direct this thing. I'm producing it. We're going, you know, and then the same way that BBC picked it up, they're going to pick that up. Hollywood Reporter. I saw that news from Discussing Film.
Okay.
That's where I saw it. So that's how much that reach goes, which we'll get into
And
later. But
Discussing
yeah,
Film, I
so
don't think they were here in Ghana for coverage. I don't know,
no,
but
no,
I don't
no.
think they were
Discussing
here.
Film is an American
Yeah.
film uh,
Yeah, I know
news
that platform.
aggregate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for them, so long as it's big enough, they're gonna carry it.
Right. Right. Let's go back to the whole brouhaha concerning Idris, and I mean the
Right.
publication, should I say wrongful publication or miscommunication that came out as a result of yeah. What were your
So
when you
the
saw that
issue
happening,
that
what
I
was your
saw
thoughts
was
on it?
that,
Yeah.
yeah, because I saw that there was some dissent or a bit of some people were upset that it didn't say that he said he was moving to Ghana, or that it didn't say that this was the Africa Cinema Summit. I've been covered by the trades twice, right?
Okay.
So I know that a lot of the times when they cover you, they decide what is newsworthy. You don't tell them what's newsworthy. You get me? Because they know what when they are gonna the way they're gonna frame things that's actually gonna make impact. Like for example, if you read my interview with the Hollywood Reporter when we finally finished Adam the First and all that stuff,
Yeah, I remember that piece.
it was a very but that was from a 1 hour almost an hour long conversation. And a lot of the things that were said was not there because they go to what is the news. What's the news here? The news here is not the Africa Cinema Summit.
Okay.
The reason being, again, this one thing I always say that I was saying that, if we haven't raised its repertoire, like you've not raised its clout level or its, you've not raised its impact level to a place where when it says something,
It means
everybody
something.
moves. Like when CinemaCon says something, they can take it to the bank because they know that CinemaCon is in conversations with the actual studios,
Okay.
right? So when they come to these events, the event itself is not the newsworthy thing. That's the thing I don't think we understand. It's not a beef. They are not dissing the event.
So it's not about the event. It's about what is happening or what's coming out of the event.
What is the news? Yes, what's the news? And the
Okay.
biggest news out there was the thing they heard. And there's a quote that people keep. I feel like people who are upset about this keep ignoring what the man himself said. He said, while he was talking about helping all these countries, he said, I'm going to move to Ghana. I'm going to move to Nigeria. I'm going to move to Tanzania. He's saying that whenever he's working on these projects, he will be in the countries where they are. Because he's going to try to make sure that they are what? They're done well.
Yeah.
He's going to be actually active. What he's promising is he's not going to be one of those people who's just going to attach his name to something and bounce.
Yeah.
He will actually commit. That's what he's saying. And I think that's an amazing thing to hear. A lot of my American friends also sent it to me several days later, knowing I'm from Ghana. So the impact has happened. But do you know why? Because out of the entirety of ACS, the only newsworthy thing that was there was Mr. Idris Elba. He is the reason they're covering it. That's the reason Discussing Film will pick it up. Not because ACS brought him, because he is there. Do you get it?
Yeah,
like
I
when
get
he goes to CinemaCon Brazil, they don't talk about. They say he's at CinemaCon Brazil, or whatever he said there is what they talk about. They don't talk about the actual When they were there and when they did Fast Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the news was the fact that Idris Elba to star in blah blah blah. Like that's how they go. They don't say, oh, when he was at Comic-Con, or they can just, that would be a footnote. Like, yeah, he said it at Comic-Con, but it's not a diss to the event. It's not. It's not at all. The thing is, you should be happy that it got covered, and they even mentioned the industry event. Now, people who are interested in events like that,
we want to
are
know.
going to be talking to Idris himself. There are other. Do you think that there's a lot of other industry people who have hit him up, asking him about it? Like, it's the nature of the beast. Like, by this point, the fact that it's gone viral like that, you're going to know that. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of filmmakers in the African American community and stuff who have hit him up, like, hey, what's this about? Like, what's up? It went big enough that if you know the way the industry works, these conversations are happening. So for me, I'm grateful for that.
Okay.
Because the conversations are happening. He's just not just with him right now, because he's doing it. Another star is gonna want to be like, yo, Idris is out there, doing these things. Shit, I'm gonna also go figure out, like, let me get on that. So that's gonna happen, and I'm very grateful for that. But I don't think that I didn't think it was a slight at them, and it is an industry event. Is it not an event in the Ghanaian film industry?
You're pulling semantics now. Okay, interesting. It is an industry event. Well, for me, I mean, just to sum up everything that you said, I think it's important that we start seeing practical solutions from the summit. What the NFA should do now is they should keep an eye on all the meetings that were had in a meeting room, all the engagements that were done, all the potential like businesses that could come out of some of these meetings, and then for next year's summit, they make these outcomes like priority, because one thing they did last year was they put together what they called an outcome paper, which I'm looking at here. I don't know if you've seen it. It's some big book. Have you seen it?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they put together.
I have not seen it before.
I think there's a soft copy. I'll actually look for it and then send it to you. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a soft copy. I'll look for it and then send it to you. So they put together the outcome paper, and it captures some of the conversations. I think what they should do now, probably for the next one, the next summit, is to capture all the good news that comes out of, the collaborations or the partnerships that have been formed at this summit, and then put it out in the outcome paper, and hopefully it convinces people. Because I think this is a brilliant idea, regardless of how you feel about the NFA, or I think it's a brilliant idea. We just have to find a way to make it work. If it doesn't work, y'all should give me money so I do GH MovieCon and make it work. Yeah, and then hopefully that could solve the problem. So yeah, let me just say thank you for coming on the first episode of the CineVersations podcast right here on GH Movie Freak TV. Thank you for your time. I'm going to have you on as a repeat guest. Hopefully we'll have more interesting stuff to talk about. But it's not just going to be Sayibu. There are going to be other people on as well with him alongside if it's needed. And this is going to be a platform where we are going to have film and film business conversations, not just focusing on all the trivial stuff, but all the conversations that need to be had about the Ghanaian film industry, the African film industry, and the film industry in general, every part of the world that we could learn something from. I'm going to try as much as possible to have awesome guests on this show from across the planet. Yes, if I know of some crazy filmmakers in Mars, I'll try and get them to come and be on this podcast as well. But I'll need your help to make this work. So please do well to like this video. Please do well to share. Try and get the engagement up. Hit the subscription icon if you already haven't. And yeah, so that, when I walk up to somebody and say, yo, we have this platform that talks about film and film business, and they look at the numbers, to be encouraged to come on this platform. And yeah, thank you very much for everybody that's watched this. And again, thank you, Sayibu. We're going to do this again. Thank you for coming on. This has been the CineVersations podcast. And like I like to say, my name is Tony Asankoma, and I'm out. Peace.